Hey, how's it going guys? It's Nate here, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Skyrim Mods, our semi-regular-ish series where we take a look at some of the latest and greatest Elder Scrolls V community content. Over the past couple of months, a boatload of mods have emerged that I couldn't justify not exploring, and in producing today's video, I very quickly realized that a lot of the creations I ended up covering were all about remaking elements of Skyrim's Special Edition, which I just find hilariously ironic. Like, remaking the remake. But anyway, enough spoilers. Just sit back and relax, as we dive right into another bundle of Skyrim's finest content. Starting off, the first mod I'd like to look into actually has nothing to do with remaking anything. It's totally original. This is Undaunted, by Chaos Gnome. What Undaunted sets out to do is introduce a new system and set of dynamic radiant quests to Skyrim. Now, I'll be honest and straight up say, I think the last thing a Bethesda game needs are more radiant quests. However, Undaunted stands out in the quality of experiences it's offering. So, after the mod has been installed, you'll be able to head on over to a new location called the Undaunted Camp, where you'll meet a character who will teach you a new power called the Undaunted Invocation. Whenever this power is used, you will immediately generate a nearby new Radiant quest. Usually, these are fairly simple encounters, like, oh, go kill 4 nearby Falmer, or pick up this item, or kill some bandits, or something like that. However, quite frequently, you'll also get Radiant quests that take you to entire new locations and dungeons. For example, I got one Radiant quest that generated a small cave entrance, and when I went inside, I had to clear out an entire original, new Nordic ruin. With this mod, there's multiple new dwarven ruins, ice caves, buried away castles, and stuff like that can spawn in. Heck, there's even an Oblivion gate that can radiantly generate that will take you to Oblivion for a little while. While some of these new locations are fairly small, a couple of them are also pretty enormous, bigger than some of the vanilla dungeons. In total, there's around a dozen new places Undaunted may take you. And remember, those only represent some of the new Radiant quests. There's also a few that spawn in bandit camps, slaver camps, and more. Additionally, a new reward system has been optimized. Every 3 Radiant quests you complete, you'll be given a new key that you can take to a special chest at the Undaunted camp and use to earn some new leveled loot, which is quite a bit nicer than the bounty system most similar missive mods add. Now, while most of what I have to say about this creation is positive, Undaunted isn't without its own problems. While many of its Radiant quests are great refreshing experiences, many of its Radiant quests also, well, aren't, and some of them can get very repetitive very quickly. Additionally, Undaunted's Radiant quests are generated in completely random nearby locations, without any planning at all. It just sort of pops one down close to the player. This is great in the sense that it allows the mod to be compatible with any new lands mod. You can generate these experiences in Beyond Skyrim Bruma if you like. It's also quite frustrating, because it's not very well pegged with the landscape and geography, if you catch my meaning. For example, I had a bandit camp mesh into a mountain, and it was very much uncompletable. Like, if I wasn't able to use console commands and fix it, well, it would have just broken the mod entirely, and I never would have been able to finish that quest. No matter, these hurdles aside, Undaunted is otherwise my favorite mod in this genre. Given that it barely released on May 10th, I expect some more patches and fixes will come along the way that buff out those rough edges. And I do believe the mod author is interested in adding even more types of raiding experiences in updates over time. So chances are, it'll only get better. Next on our list, we have Realistic Armor by Nordwar UA. So, Nordwar UA is probably a very familiar name to you if you've been watching this series for a while. He's a mod author who creates all sorts of armor packs and armor retextures. Realistic Armor is another one of those. The best way I can describe this armor pack is as a bandit armor replacer. What it focuses on is replacing or overhauling a lot of the stuff you see bandits or adventurers in the Elder Scrolls V wear, to be more, well, realistic. In total, around 7 entirely new armor sets have been introduced. You're seeing those on screen now. However, what's quite cool is that there's a lot of variation in these armor sets. What I mean by that is, for instance, while there's a new fur armor set, there's also like 3 or 4 different types of fur caps you can put on your character. Or, while there's a new hide armor set, you can also choose between studded hide armor or non-studded hide armor. On top of that, there's also a couple of armor pieces that aren't related to any set at all. Like, there's chainmail Nord armor that's just thrown in. As I already stressed earlier, coming in resolutions as high as 4K, the quality is absolutely apparent here. And while the base version of this mod comes as a replacer, replacing what existing characters in the game wear, you can also get a standalone version that doesn't replace any character's gear, but allows all of the new items to be crafted at a smithy, for only your character to wear them, if you don't want to alter the world too much. So, the next time you're looking for some new rags, definitely check out Realistic Armor by Nordwar UA. Coming in at number 3, we have Bleak Falls Barrow Revisited by Coolio J. To players of Skyrim, Bleak Falls Barrow is a fairly iconic location. For many of us, it's the first dungeon we ever get to explore, and it's hyped up to us by many characters. In Riverwood, various people claim to have nightmares of the place, and before we're sent there by Whiterun's Jarl, he warns us that it's very, very dangerous. What Coolio J has done is almost entirely remake the interior of this dungeon to make it much larger, dangerous, and feel more confusing and challenging. Seriously, while the original Bleak Falls Barrow may take around 15 to 20 minutes to run through, now it's going to be a 45 to 60 minute experience. Many new rooms have been added, and the layout has been changed to make it possible to run into multiple different dead ends and confusing mazes. It, in many ways, feels like an ancient catacomb should. Additionally, there's an entire new cell or loading screen for players to pass, if you want to. It's optional, because there's also multiple ways you can complete this dungeon too. The mod author explained his aim of the project very well. Most dungeons are on rails. They're guided experiences in which you go only one direction. This mod is going to change Bleak Falls Barrow to, well, not be on rails. You'll have to go back and retrace your steps. You'll go into entire chambers that lead nowhere. It feels like a dungeon. And finally, while this mod is unfortunately currently only available for Skyrim Special Edition users on the PC, due to the fact that it seems to depend almost exclusively on vanilla assets, it should be possible for an Xbox One or maybe even PS4 port to emerge sometime in the not too distant future. Nonetheless, BFB Revisited was an amazing creation. And hopefully Coolio J decides to revisit a few more of Skyrim's vanilla dungeons. For our 4th spot, let's take another look at the Great Cities and Towns series by Soldier of War. So this is a mod, or really a collection of mods, that we've looked at before on this channel, around 8 or 9 months ago. However, since then, it's made enormous progress that I'd like to update you on. At its core, this mod aims to overhaul Skyrim's various minor settlements, to greatly expand their size, and also do it in aesthetically pleasing ways. For example, Falkreath appears in the vanilla game really as just an unremarkable village in the middle of the woods. Now, with the mod installed, it asserts itself as a proper walled settlement, with various new buildings, as well as an incredibly impressive new graveyard. Something that Falkreath apparently has in the game's lore, but is never demonstrated by the game itself. Winterhold is another great example. In the vanilla game, it too appears as a mere village, But now, with great cities, it's a massive, walled settlement, and we can see greater evidence of the great collapse that the lore tells us evidently devastated the city decades ago. It looks amazing. Keep in mind, when expanding the size of these locations, it's adding in new buildings, with new, custom interiors as well. Since we last took a look at this collection, around 7 new locations have been overhauled, including, but not limited to, the town of Iverstead, the village of Old Hrolden, and the town of Karthwatston. On top of that, Soldier of War has also created a mod that overhauls the exterior of most of the game's Nord ruins, to make them even more grand in scale and scope. Though, keep in mind, it only overhauls the exterior of the ruins, not the interiors like that Bleak Falls Barrow mod we just talked about. On top of all of that, he's gone back and updated some of his previously existing creations, to change the layout of certain cities he's already overhauled to make them even more impressive. Long story short, it's basically an entire new collection. Personally, this is one of my favorite mod packs ever. The lore describes so many of Skyrim's settlements as these grand, massive locations that are supposed to be humongous. Yet, when we finally got to visit them in The Elder Scrolls V, so many of these giant places were really just tiny hamlets. And while he's still limited by Skyrim's own technical limitations, Soldier of War has done excellent work in somewhat remedying this problem. And finally, last on our list, I'd like to introduce you to the Elven Death Knight Armors Collection by TH Boss Gamer. Simply put, this is a collection of 3 unique male, sorry ladies, armors you can craft in-game, with high-quality textures. And it comes with 2 new weapons and 3 new capes. Now, what immediately struck me about this creation was just the quality of the meshes and textures used in all of these new pieces of equipment. Of course, they come in resolutions as high as 4K, but just look at how fearsome this armor looks. It's insane. Additionally, each of the 3 new sets really comes in 4 different colors: black, blue, gold, red, and silver. Wait a minute, that's 5 new colors. Listen, this is an accounting channel, okay? Calm down. The new equipment can all be crafted at a smithy, or for PC users, just spawned in with the Add Items menu. Which, by the way, taking a look at all of the new items added in by this mod, it's just incredible. There's not much more for me to say here. I think the visuals tell enough of their own story. Let's hope the mod author produces some more similar projects in the future. And with that, we are going to wrap up another exciting episode of Skyrim Mods. Thanks so much for stopping by, everybody. Which of these projects were your own personal favorites? And what recently released Skyrim creations do you know of that I should tackle next? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for watching, and hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.